Hey everyone, if you want to make your own podcast but you don't know where to begin, Spotify for Podcasters makes it super easy. They've got everything in one place, it's totally free, and you can make money while doing it. Here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start doing it today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and pretty much everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also supported, and you can even conduct polls and Q&As. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, the platform is totally free. No catch, totally free. When I wanted to start my own podcast, I did not know where to begin, and I didn't think it was even possible. And Spotify for Podcasters made it happen. They made it easy, they made it quick, and I am doing something that I love. What more can I ask for? So if you're interested in starting your own show, you can do it, and I highly recommend you give this a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Everything Kratom, the podcast about anything and everything Kratom. Great to have you with us on this Monday morning. Happy to have you here. I'm feeling great. It's going to be a busy week for me. I think this Wednesday might be the last podcast of the week. I might be able to do one Thursday, not sure yet. But it might just be a 3-podcast week. Got a busy week ahead, got a board meeting at the end of the week, so not going to be able to be here the last couple days, but that's all right. I'll be back the following week. We can go over what we're learning from this World Health Organization meeting, which is happening now, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening now. As we speak, the AKA is representing the Kratom movement. So let's wish them good luck. I think we're in good hands, you know? I don't think we should be biting our nails. I think that this is, we're in a good position from everything that I've learned. Remember, the panel is full of scientists. Let's hope they listen. All right, but with all that in mind, quick episode today, but a good one. I saw this article in Politico last week, and then the AKA actually tweeted it out later on, but I had already read it by then. There's an article in Politico that I'm going to link in the description. It's called "A Global Fight Looms Over Kratom, a Possible Opioid Alternative." I know that Kratom is used as an opioid alternative, and that's kind of where all the focus is. I wish that it wasn't, that the focus wasn't always on that, because people use it for other reasons as well. But that's the day and age that we live in. There's a huge opioid epidemic happening. It's one of the main reasons why I lost my brother this year, and it's certainly real, so I certainly am not pushing that under the rug or anything. But it's a dynamic plant, and it can be seen in another light as well. So, but anyway, with that in mind, this article is actually done pretty well. For a major news outlet, most of them tend to cover Kratom without really taking both sides into account, or it's kind of like a surfacey article. This one, it gets in the weeds a bit, and it also does kind of show both views. It does quote Matt Cadow, who's, the public face of the AKA, but it also, quotes a professor or two from different places that, they're saying, like, this is a bad idea to ban it, yada, yada. And it's got people on the other side, FDA spokesman, the works, the usual people. So it's a pretty good, well-rounded article. It's not as surfacey as most of the major news outlets put out there, and it doesn't take too long to read. So I highly suggest that you all take a look at it. Just to kind of pique your interest, I'll read a couple aspects of it. It's saying, the World Health Organization's Drug Dependence Committee will conduct a pre-review of Kratom. The analysis could set the stage for the drug to undergo further scrutiny by global health regulators, potentially putting it on the path to being scheduled as a controlled substance. The US or the WHO scheduling the drug, its proponents say, would create even more obstacles to studying it. akin to complaints from domestic cannabis researchers who for more than 50 years were only allowed to study research-grade marijuana grown by one federally approved facility. And then it's got a quote here from Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine professor saying, making this a prohibited substance is going to actually encourage people to go use more drugs, more dangerous drugs. And then, it quotes some FDA people saying kratom is an increasingly popular drug of abuse and readily available on the recreational drug market in the United States. So, but you know what? It's really great. You should read it. Won't take you long. And I find that it's really important to continue to gain views from both sides of the argument. The FDA, although it's their fault that they're not actually doing the work into looking into this, they're like, we don't even want to spend the time on this. We just want to get rid of this. But, I can understand their viewpoint, I guess. What I don't like is how much of an influence that pharmaceutical companies have on these sorts of decisions. And it's not a Democratic or Republican issue. I mean, remember, the first time this was proposed as being banned was under the Obama administration. So let's not forget, this is an everybody person issue. Everybody person. That's a new one. This is an everybody person issue. And it's important to remember that. So anyway, check out that article. Good morning read, good way to start off the week. Really setting the stage here for what this meeting is going to turn out. Like I said last week, the AKA is presenting on this first day. And then there's going to be 4 days of internal private discussion amongst this committee after the first process is over, where they're going to really decide what they want to do. I think that I agree with the AKA and their webinar that they did last week. I think I agree with them in that the most likely scenario is probably going to be that they either say, we don't quite have enough evidence on this, and so we're going to give it another year, or, it seems a little scary, but we don't want to necessarily outlaw it. I think that the end product is just going to be, we need more research, which of course, if they've been paying any attention, there's plenty of people willing to research the stuff, and there is plenty of research happening. Of course, I do think there needs to be more research, as always, but there is plenty of research to look at. And that's kind of the one fear I have out of the research component of this. I do think that the research is on the side of proponents of kratom. I think that overall it shows that kratom's not that dangerous. But if those in power don't listen to the research, or if they keep saying we need more research, eventually they're going to say, we're sick of seeing this come up over and over again. There's been, 150 deaths because of it. Let's just nix it. Let's just make it illegal and stop having to deal with this and putting money into research. If they start putting money into research, that is. So I hope that they'll listen to the research sooner rather than later, because, it can always keep building. You can always keep seeing research build. And if all of a sudden one day you realize, oh, wow, this past year we're noticing that kratom has started to kill people that were using it, 10 years ago. So it's got a 10-year span where then it starts killing people. Well, then feel free to ban it. I mean, but not before then. You got to have the research in front of you. That's my rant for this morning. Another quick episode, but it's a busy week for me, folks, so appreciate your understanding. I do want you to know, though, that we have a lot of listeners, and I'm so grateful. I wanted to also offer you a bit of a breakdown of where you all are listening from, because I thought that you would find it interesting. We've got 700 listeners, or a little over now. 90% of the listeners are from the US. 2% of you are from Norway. What's up, y'all? UK, 1%. And then 1% from Switzerland. 1% from Canada, Greece, Iceland, Croatia, Germany, Belgium, Austria, Netherlands, Australia, Ireland, Spain, Vietnam, Slovakia, and Brazil. I wish I could speak all those languages. Dang. But thank you so much for all of you tuning in. We also got people listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Podcast Addict, a few other platforms. And the average age of you all, 16% of you, 18 to 22. 6%, 23 to 27. 28 to 34-year-olds make up 27%. 24%, 35 to 44-year-olds. 15%, 45 to 59. And 10% of you are 60 and older. And then we've got 62% male, 34% female, and 4% not specified. That's through Spotify. So thank you all so much. So glad that you're enjoying these little tidbits every day. That's kind of the goal of this, just to have, even if it's just a few minutes a day, somebody saying something about Kratom, keeping it in the public discourse, creating a community around it. And you are a part of that. So thank you so much for being a part of that. I'll come at you again tomorrow. We'll have an ETHA podcast on Wednesday. We'll take it from there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great Monday and kick this week in the can. You got this. Have a great day. Bye-bye.